Let's make some sweet and sour meatballs. Welcome back to the Whole Food Plant-Based Cooking Show, where we make plant-based cooking easy. I'm Jill, and today we're gonna make these flavor-packed sweet and sour meatballs, meatballs. But of course, veggies are the star, and the two main ingredients are mushrooms and onions. And there's another secret ingredient on one of the next steps, but we're gonna start with these first. This is a 1 medium onion, just chopped, and 8 ounces of sliced mushrooms. And we're just gonna get these cooked until all of that moisture of the mushrooms is cooked out. And by cooking them together, the onions and the mushrooms, as the mushrooms release their moisture, it's gonna keep the onions from sticking to the pan, so you don't have to use oil. So we're just gonna let these cook for a bit. Okay, so now you're going to need a food processor just to blend these up. So you're going to put the mushroom and onion mixture in your food processor. And the last couple minutes of cooking the onions and mushrooms, I tossed in the garlic. You want to wait till kind of the last to put in the garlic so that it doesn't burn. All right. Now we're going to add, I've got 1 can of kidney beans that I've already drained and rinsed. But you could use, another type of bean. I just like to use these because of its color, and they're very, very starchy, which kind of gives the meatballs a little bit more body. Then for this part, this is what you're gonna have to prep ahead of time. This is a box of tofu that I froze in the freezer overnight and then thawed it out. And once it's thawed out, we only used half of the box, so it's about 7 ounces. Then you just squeeze out all of the moisture of that tofu, so you can see it's really dry and crumbly. So you just, squeeze all the moisture that you can out, and that's what we're gonna use. So it's very important to do that stuff. If you just use regular tofu and try to, squeeze out that moisture, it's gonna make your meatballs stay kind of mushy. This is gonna give it a lot more strength. We've got half a cup of rolled oats, 1/4 of a cup of walnuts. That's going to give us some really good whole food fat. And then a tablespoon of flax meal that I added 3 tablespoons of water to and made it into the gel. This is going to help everything stick together. And I just let it sit for, just 2 or 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes at the most, so that it can really gel up. 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, 2 tablespoons of a low sodium soy sauce. And if you don't have soy sauce, you could use tamari or even Bragg's liquid aminos. And then half a teaspoon of thyme. Then we're just going to stick this in your food processor. And instead of just running it, you want to just pulse. Just pulse until it starts looking like it's going to start coming together, just so that it can have some of the chunks still there. You don't want to keep running it, because then it's going to turn into kind of like a puree or like a pate, and that's not what we want. We kind of want it to be a little bit chunky, but chunky enough that it's going to stick together. Okay, there we go. If you see it there, you can kind of see there's still chunks of onion. You can still see the chunks of bean in there and the mushroom. That's the consistency that we're looking for. All right, I'm gonna clear this stuff out, and I'm gonna grab a baking pan with a piece of parchment, and then I'm gonna preheat my oven to 350 degrees. While we're waiting for that, I'd like to share some background on our show. The Whole Food Plant-Based Cooking Show is crowd-funded, which means these free weekly recipe videos, along with our entire catalog of free printable recipes on our website, plantbasedcookingshow.com, and our Plant-Based Cooking Made Easy cookbook series, are all made possible in part by the generous patronage of our supporting membership community. So if you love our recipes, I invite you to join us on our mission to make plant-based cooking easy, and follow the link in the description to become a supporting member today. There's no denying the plant-based diet is a nutrient powerhouse, but did you know there are a handful of hard-to-get nutrients even well-crafted diets are often lacking? The latest research suggests that complementing your diet with a few specific vitamins, minerals, and omega-3s will help boost your energy and keep you thriving for the long term. That's why my daily health routine includes Complement Essential. Complement Essential contains the 8 critical nutrients lacking from most plant-based diets in dosages optimized specifically for us. As a special discount for our viewers, just use code PLANTBASEDEASY at checkout to save 15% off of your order. Okay, so let's make some meatballs. So this is kind of up to you what size of meatballs you want, but generally with this type of meatball, you know, these vegan meatballs, you want to keep them kind of small so that when you're baking them, you know, more of the surface area on the outside gets cooked and it can get cooked on the inside more. If you make them too big, then the inside's going to be really mushy, and that's not what we're going for. So I kind of go for maybe a little bit smaller than a golf ball size. All right, I'm going to roll all these out and then I'll show you when I'm done. Okay, I'm done, and it came out to about 22. You could probably, if you made them just a little bit smaller, you could probably get 24 meatballs out of this. All right, so into the oven they go. We're gonna put them on for 20 minutes at 350, and then we're gonna flip, and then another 20 minutes. Okay, now onto this sauce, which is the key ingredient to this recipe. It is sweet and sour. It's kind of like those little, like cocktail meatballs. You know how they're usually sweet and sour, or even the little Vienna sausages or cocktail sausages that people have at parties. That's what we're going for, that really punchy flavor. So you're gonna need your NutriBullet and a small pan, because we're gonna have to heat this up to thicken it a little bit. And all of our pantry ingredients today are from our partner company, Essential Organics, who carry over 600 organic products. And if you want to check them out, use the code PLANTBASEDEASY at checkout for 10% off your order. All right, so we're going to start with 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. That is really going to give it most of its flavor. 2 tablespoons of white wine vinegar. 1/3 cup of rice vinegar, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1/3 cup of dates, 1.5 tablespoons of miso paste, and this is a dark miso paste, 1 tablespoon of arrowroot powder. Or if you don't have arrowroot powder, you could also use cornstarch or even tapioca starch. They'll all work just about the same. And then we're gonna put some red pepper flakes. And that's up to you how much you put. I usually put about 1/2 teaspoon, but if you want it on the spicier side, I would go a little bit more. But you know, we're going more for the sweet and sour with just a little punch from the spice. And then some cracked pepper. And then we're going to add 1 cup of water. All right, so now we're just going to blend this up until the date chunks are really pulverized. Okay, there we go. Now you're just going to pour this into your saucepan, and we're going to keep it on about medium-high, and we're just going to thicken it a little bit, just so that the flavors can incorporate and so that it will coat those meatballs really nicely. Okay, so we've got our sauce finished. Now we're just waiting on our meatballs. If you want to come in and take a look, really you can just set cook these on low pretty much the whole time that your meatballs are cooking, and it'll be just fine. So you don't really have to worry about it too much. All right, guys, they are done. If you want to come in and take a look, and our sauce is done too. It smells amazing. So I'm gonna let these cool for a bit, and then I'll meet you at the table for a taste. Okay, guys, here we go. So just a tip on these, you'll want to keep them separate until you're ready to serve, because if you let these meatballs sit in that sauce for too long, they'll just start disintegrating. So just wait, and when you're ready to get them out there, just mix them up real quick and then set them out. I'm just gonna dip them in. Oh man, that sauce is everything. Come on back next week for another great recipe.